The great lady of the elite circle. Snowfrost, after being drugged, was brought to my bed. I, in a moment of carelessness, caused her to faint from sitting. To express my apology, I left $300 by her bedside. When we met again, she became my direct superior, but her gaze toward me was hesitant, as if she wanted to speak but held back, asking, "Square method, have we met somewhere before?" Before I could answer, a bullet screen suddenly appeared before my eyes. Square method and Snowfrost have finally reunited. Square method, why aren't you running yet? When Snowfrost finds out, you're the man from that night, you're done for. My face was full of confusion. Due to my outstanding work performance, I was transferred to headquarters, becoming the senior assistant to the CEO. The moment I stepped into the CEO's office, I saw a long black halter dress, encasing a pair of jade rabbits. Sensing someone entering, she lifted her head from a pile of documents. "You're the new assistant my father chose for me, square method, right?" I nodded, gave a simple self-introduction. From start to finish, she just listened quietly. Until I finished speaking, she stared at my face, hesitating as if wanting to say something. Asking Assistant Square, "Have we met before?" Before I could respond, a bullet screen suddenly appeared before my eyes. Square method and Snowfrost have finally reunited. Square method, why aren't you running yet? When Snowfrost finds out you're the man from that night, you're done. Looking at Snowfrost's perfect face before me, my heart suddenly thumped hard. The memories buried deep in my heart from 3 years ago were abruptly awakened. We didn't just know each other. We'd slept together, though we weren't familiar. 3 years ago, I was still a fresh graduate stepping into society. At a party, I was set up and drugged. With my last shred of strength, I smashed a bottle over the head of that thug, barely managing to break free. Seeing an empty room, I just wanted to hide inside for a bit. I didn't expect there to be a woman in the room. Her face was flushed red, her condition not much better than mine. The drug's effects were so agonizing it made you wish for death. She suddenly pulled out her phone, opened her health report saying, "I'm clean. Could we help each other out?" I checked her report, saw she was quite good looking. I figured I wasn't losing out. I might not be some saintly gentleman, but I had plenty of strength and means. Seeing her cry until her nose turned red, tears lingering at the corners of her eyes, I suddenly felt a wave of guilt. Today, I might have gone a bit too far. To make it up to her, I left $300 by her bedside. After taking a shower, I ignored her red, swollen eyes from crying, covered myself tightly, and sneaked away. 3 years passed. I fought my way up, finally rising from a lowly intern to senior assistant. The department head who framed me years ago was long fired for incompetence. In just 3 short years, my promotions were as fast as a rocket. I admit I was lucky, but opportunity and effort are both indispensable. I gained a lot, but paid with all my youth and effort. In those 3 years, I barely took a day off, even worked overtime during the new year. Only I know how much effort I poured into achieve this. To earn a degree from a prestigious school, I studied like a madman, hair in disarray. To avoid going hungry and only drinking water. To escape days of wearing ill-fitting clothes, I worked like my life depended on it. So I absolutely couldn't let romantic entanglements hinder the hard-earned wealth and glory. Snowfrost looked at me with suspicious eyes, making me tremble with fear. My whole body lacked the commanding presence. I recalled that chaotic night 3 years ago, and her final state, crying until she was a mess. I immediately decided that matter was better left buried in my gut for safety. Years of professional experience honed my ability to hide joy or anger. I calmly replied to her, "President Snow, I've always worked at the branch office, only recently transferred to headquarters." Snowfrost closed her project book, casually saying, "No matter. Assistant Square, you remind me of someone I met 3 years ago." I awkwardly bit my tongue to defuse the situation. "Actually, I have a common face." After hearing my response, Snowfrost let out a long sigh of relief. "That's good. I can rest easy then." I was utterly confused. The bullet screen cleared up my doubts. Square method still doesn't know. That night, left Snow Frost with such a huge psychological shadow. That night was the female lead's only time, waking up to find $300 stuffed beside her. Truly humiliated, she cried again in anger and shame. Snow Frost still doesn't know the man from that night was Square Method. If she finds out it was Square Method, all his years of struggle, his career might be ruined. My heart sank halfway. I only committed a mistake any man in the world might make. Luckily, Snow Frost didn't press further. Snow Frost coldly instructed me, prepare the materials for tonight's meeting. Then she buried herself back in work. A moment later, she said, get me an Italian coffee, no sugar with milk. I thought to myself, so elegant, isn't it just a latte? But I still flashed a professional smile. Yes, President Snow. We worked together peacefully for a month. Then I suddenly received an invitation from Snow Frost's mother. Everyone in the company knew. Though the chairman was nominally the company's leader, the real power was firmly in the hands of the heiress Snow Frost. The moment we met, President Lucille's aura was so overwhelming I wanted to kneel. She said, you're the assistant old Snow chose for Frosty, right? I nodded, not daring to meet her eyes directly. She softened her tone. Don't be nervous, young man. I'm here because I have a favor to ask. I heard you've been working by her side for a month. Over the years, assistants working for her never lasted more than a week. I thought it over. You're the perfect candidate for this task. I was stunned by her high regard. Could it be my talent was finally recognized? But then Snow Frost's mother took a sip of coffee and said sternly, I suspect she might have issues with her orientation. You help me test whether she does or not. My eyes widened like bells. Mom, are you mistaken? I can't do it. Snow Frost's mother immediately transferred me $1 million. Note voluntarily gifted to you. She said go with confidence. If I say you can do it, you can. This is just a deposit. If you figure it out, I won't shortchange you. I still resisted. My whole being was in rebellion. No, I really can't. Snow Frost's mother instantly understood, nodded saying, it seems the money's still too little. The next second $5 million hit my account. Note voluntarily gifted to you. I couldn't help but open my account, counting the zeros in it. Good Lord, she wants me to be financially free. Snow Frost's mother saw my expression, smugly said, now you agree, right? I was dazed by her lavish spending, nodding like a garlic masher. This is too much. From now on, whatever you say goes. Snow Frost's mother suddenly sighed with heartache. This child seemed normal growing up. I don't know why. 3 years ago, after I sent her to entertain clients, she came back as if she'd been humiliated, refusing to date men, as if men were some kind of monstrous beast. I suddenly felt a pang. That night 3 years ago, could it have been because of me? My guilty conscience spoke. What you're saying is, I guarantee it'll complete the task. Snow Frost's mother stood up, looked at me with pity, patted my shoulder. Her every gesture radiated a mother's sorrow and helplessness. Vaguely, there was even a hint of a hero's tragic twilight. Damn it, what have I done? She only has this one daughter. At my age, I can't have another child. I beg you, you must make her normal and come home to me. My eyes were resolute. I nodded firmly, pounding my chest with vigor. Rest assured, Mum. From that day on, my job became part-time. My main task each day was to activate my radar, searching for any suspicious, ambiguous women around her. Then, reporting progress in real time to my true boss. I don't know if Snow Frost was too cautious, but I didn't find a single clue. But I'm an excellent employee. If there's no achievement, it'll create one. I stayed up all night studying 36 ways to approach women online. That night I changed my profile picture, started messaging her. Hey, beautiful sister. Are you into girls? Your face is so pretty. Can I sleep on your little belly? Gorgeous. Where do you work? Can I come find you to hang out tonight? After sending these messages, if she's interested in me, she'd definitely keep replying. I stared wide-eyed as her status showed type. Then she asked about my intentions. For my profile, I used a photo of my cousin at home. My cousin just started university this year. 165 centimeters tall, innocent, cute, and pure. As clever as I came up with a brilliant plan. As long as Snow Frost admits she doesn't like women, that million is easily mine. No need to sacrifice my cousin to the wolves. I don't believe she'd stay unmoved seeing my cousin. Sure enough, 3 seconds later her status showed typing, but she didn't send anything. She must be shy. I mimicked online flirting techniques and kept messaging. Why aren't you replying? Got something on your mind? If you replied to me now, I'd be happy all day. After who knows how long, she finally replied with a question mark. I only like men. Stop bothering me. I quickly screenshotted it and sent it to Snow Frost's mother, with the screenshot as evidence. My task was considered complete. I reported President Lucille. Snow Frost, she's not. Snow Frost's mother replied quickly. Received, let's meet to discuss. The next second my account received a clean 10 million in cash. Note, voluntarily gifted. In the coffee shop, Snow Frost's mother took a sip of coffee, her face grave, saying, if it's not that, why doesn't she date? If never seen her suffer any romantic trauma. I was still immersed in the joy of receiving 10 million, completely dazed. A bullet screen suddenly appeared before my eyes. What's male supporting character doing standing there? When Snow Frost's mother finds out you're the one who caused her daughter's trauma, guess which shark's mouth you'll end up in? It was like a bucket of cold water poured over my head. I snapped away, almost forgot about this. I carefully observed Snow Frost's mother's expression. Snow Frost's mother suddenly lit up, started rummaging through her bag. I remember now. I need to check. What happened that night 3 years ago? What, my good life hasn't even started. But Snow Frost's mother already dialed a number. Her tone stern, commanding with authority. Steward Wong, immediately investigate. What happened the night my daughter first went to entertain clients 3 years ago? The other end kept agreeing. After hanging up, Snow Frost's mother's face darkened. I seized the chance to probe President Lucille. Can I leave now? Snow Frost's mother stared at my face, imposing without anger. What's the rush? I gave you 10 million. You should at least do something substantial. I stood upright, pretending to fully comply. But in reality, I'd already planned my escape. I'd resign as soon as I got back, take my 10 million and flee far away. No more being a corporate slave. But Snow Frost's mother seemed to see through my thought. I advise you not to think about running. Otherwise, I have plenty of ways to make you spit the money back out. Do one more thing for me. If you succeed, I'll send you to study abroad. Under overwhelming pressure, I could only lower my noble head, obediently comply. Snow Frost's mother, perhaps pitying me, softened her tone. As long as you rekindle her interest in men, I'll give you another 10 million, plus a seaside villa. I should have left, but 10 million and a seaside villa. We're just attempting. I gritted my teeth, stomped my foot, and tearfully agreed. In the company, Snow Frost was as picky and detail-oriented as ever, but I no longer cared. Looking at her, I felt calm, as beautiful as a delicious dish. She was no longer my boss, but my human ATM. Indeed, only when you're not short on money at work do you lose all resentment. Perhaps because my service attitude was too outstanding. Snow Frost recently suggested, after returning from an overseas business trip, she'd give me a raise, though I no longer cared about the petty cash she'd offer. To maintain my persona, I still showed great reverence. I'd been holding back for so long I couldn't suppress it anymore. I hurriedly video called Snow Frost's mother, President Lucille. The time is ripe. Please give your instructions. Snow Frost's mother, don't rush. Everything will be arranged. Just follow my orders. I mechanically replied as usual. Understood. Snow Frost's mother suddenly changed her tone. If found out what happened 3 years ago, my daughter was likely intimidated by a strong man, causing her to develop a fear of men. I cautiously probed. Have you found that man yet? Snow Frost's mother sighed. The steward is investigating, but the surveillance footage is blurry. It only captured the man's back. My poor daughter. Her first time entertaining clients, and this happened. No wonder she's been so distrustful all these years. I let out a sigh of relief, righteously saying, I believe he didn't mean it. The urgent task is to heal Snow Frost. Snow Frost's mother reignited her resolve. You're right. I'll immediately arrange for you two to go on a business trip. Be flexible. Seize the opportunity to act. As long as you help my daughter overcome this trauma, I'll keep showering you with riches. I inwardly marveled at her efficiency. Snow Frost's mother was truly keeping up with the times, even knowing phrases like showering with riches. No wonder she made big money. I hurriedly asked her, so what's the next step? Snow Frost's mother, with a seasoned air, on foreign soil, sharing life and death moments. Can the spark of love not blaze brightly? I flashed a fawning smile through the screen. Wow, your plan is brilliant. Snow Frost's mother was flattered into a beaming wheel. Immediately decided if I succeeded, she'd give me another $1 million. Right after hanging up, I received a call from Snow Frost. She told me to immediately book flight tickets for the business trip. Before I could coordinate the script with Snow Frost's mother, I was already on a plane abroad. Right after landing, we were cleanly robbed. Snow Frost and I were tied up like dumplings, thrown into a drafty back seat, cold wind whipping across our faces. I only felt excitement. I didn't expect Snow Frost's mother to be so formidable, arranging such a thrilling script. Seeing me so excited, Snow Frost looked exasperated. What time is it? Can you act normal? I grimaced in pain. In truth, I was trembling with fear. In extreme terror, I get inexplicably excited. The robbers were brutal, dragging us and throwing us into a warehouse. It wasn't until they took us to the holding place that I snapped back to reality. This didn't seem like Snow Frost's mother's script. In the dark, damp warehouse, besides terrifying torture tools, there was only a group of men in black holding guns. After an unknown amount of time, a masked man in a leather coat and long boots entered, escorted by a crowd. His gaze was sharp as a viper, coldly walking straight over, grabbing Snow Frost's chin. Not bad, she's got some charm. She'll fetch a good price. Snow Frost frowned unhappily, trying to avoid his hand. No matter who sent you, release us now, and I can offer you 1,000 times what they paid. The man lightly tapped her face with the back of his hand. Big talk, but why should I trust you? Snow Frost's gaze was piercing. It was my illegitimate sister who sent you, right? She can only give you money, but I, besides money, can offer you connections and resources to help you leave this place and live openly. I felt a strange twinge in my heart. This familiar plot, wasn't it straight out of a melodramatic novel I'd read? The man removed his mask, revealing a handsome face, laughing arrogantly. Miss Snow, your offer is tempting. Too bad he's not just my employer, but also my lover. So no matter what you say today, I won't let you go. Then he gave a look. The man in black beside him understood and stuffed a handful of drugs into Snow Frost's mouth until she swallowed them all. The man nodded in satisfaction, instructing, in a bit when Boss Lee arrives, clean her up and send her over. I stood by dumbfounded. What in the world was going on? After taking the drugs, Snow Frost collapsed limply on the ground, her expensive suit stained with dirt. The man seemed to notice me only then, glancing me up and down. He's useless. Do whatever you want with him. As soon as he spoke, the familiar bullet screen appeared before my eyes. No way. Is male supporting character going offline just like that? Too sloppy. Even if male supporting character is greedy and cowardly, he's still human. Author, come out and say something. I wanted to cry but had no tears. I hadn't even spent my 10 million yet. I couldn't just die like this. My fate is mine, not the heavens. Live or die, I decide. Who says I'm a supporting character, so I have to die? I felt adrenaline surging crazily through me, my body filled with endless strength. I was born strong, back in the orphanage. I was often beaten for eating too much. In desperate straits, I unleashed astonishing power, directly snapping the ropes binding me. The men who looked at me with disdain earlier now only had shock in their eyes. Snow Frost on the ground was suffering from the drug's effects, her whole body red as a boiled shrimp, writhing and trembling in discomfort. I couldn't hold back anymore. Snow Frost was now in unbearable pain. I wasn't heartbroken for her, but if something happened to her, Snow Frost's mother wouldn't spare me. The lead man in black saw this and smirked wickedly. Didn't expect you to have some strength, but pointless resistance is useless. You won't get out that door. I rubbed my hands fearless. Oh, why don't you try me? Since childhood I've tasted the world's cruelty, beaten more times than I've eaten meals. I don't meddle in others' business, but when it falls on me, I'm not afraid. The man in black seemed intrigued by me, stepped back striking an attack pose. His fist aimed straight at my crown, but just as it was about to hit, he was accidentally tripped by Snow Frost. I nimbly dodged, then landed a high kick to his weak spot. A blood-curdling scream tore through the damp air. The others rushed in. Two fists can't fight many hands. I could only use guerrilla tactics, divide and conquer. 10 minutes later, bodies littered the ground. I was exhausted to the limit. Both sides were locked in a stalemate. I took the initiative. Stop fighting. How much did he pay you? He'll pay 10 times that to let us go. The lead man, seeing the unfavorable situation, weighed the pros and cons and agreed to my request. I hoisted Snow Frost from the ground and left the dark, damp warehouse. Once out, I didn't dare stop. Kept going for a long time. Sweat dripped down my forehead nearly into my eyes. I still didn't dare pause until I was sure we'd reached a safe area. I finally set her down. Only then did I realize my limbs were no longer obeying me. Impressive. Snow Frost's flushed face grew even redder. When she opened her eyes earlier, I noticed her pupils were already somewhat unfocused. I had to get her to a hospital fast. I slapped her hard a few times, finally bringing back some of her senses. After waiting a long time, we finally got a taxi. I was about to say go to the hospital. Snow Frost suddenly grabbed my wrist. No hospital. To the hotel. Her palm was burning hot. I looked at her condition, anxious. You're like this and not going to a hospital. If something happens, won't your mother tear me apart? We were very close. Her whole body was burning, but she still insisted no hospital. There might be his people there. Call for help, get a private doctor to the hotel. I thought it over. Her words made sense. I could only follow her instructions. Told the driver to head to another hotel. Hurriedly booked a room. Supported Snow Frost. Stumbling into the room, threw her onto the bed. I quickly called the private doctor we'd contacted on the way. With Snow Frost, I heard it's her best friend. The indispensable best friend every female lead has in novels. After the call, I completely calmed down. Checked my account. The money was more than half gone. I was instantly furious, mentally calculating that after this was over, I'd make Snow Frost's mother compensate me. While waiting for the doctor, I went to the bathroom for a quick shower. While showering, I suddenly heard a loud noise outside. Hurriedly tied my bathrobe and ran out to check, only to see a restricted mosaic-worthy scene. Snow Frost had stripped herself bare, but I'm a decent man, even if she was completely naked. In front of me, I'd only worrying if she was cold. Under the hotel's dim yellow light, her drug-induced flushed body writhed uncontrollably. What was most unbearable was her puppy-like eyes at that moment, looking at me pitifully. Normally called the cold, noble flower of the company, her icy voice now begged in a spoiled tone. Help me just like that night 3 years ago. The exact same move, but I fell for it again. I couldn't help swallowing hard. A voice in my body roared to agree, but a bullet screen suddenly appeared before my eyes. The male supporting character didn't die. Curious about the next plot twist, the female lead feels a bit off. Is she pretending? Too bad the male supporting character didn't see the female lead secretly taking more drugs while he was showering. I instantly snapped awake, looked down at Snow Frost clinging to me. The corner of her mouth seemed to curve slightly. Damn it, she wasn't just pretending. She was secretly enjoying this. I fell for her trick. I wanted to push her off, but she pressed her burning face against mine. Save me, I'm so hot. Her eyes were red from fever, bloodshot, her voice trembling. I pushed her away directly. What, that's a different price. Sober up and sleep in the next room. That night's sleep was restless. The hardships of my youth haunted me like zombies, tormenting me day and night, occasionally appearing in my dreams. In my dreams, I wasn't as strong as now, skinny and small, cowering in a corner, only able to passively endure all malice. I had no parents, an abandoned child left in a trash bin, taken to an orphanage by a kind soul, originally with no chance to continue schooling. Luckily, fate favored me. While being tricked to the outskirts, I unexpectedly saved a rich young master from kidnapping. Though the cost was a broken leg, it earned me a chance to study. The rich family saw I studied well. Under the media's witness, publicly declared they'd sponsor my university education. The rich weren't stingy with donations, but the money after passing through many layers reached me, barely enough to sustain my studies. Life remained tough. To eat my fill, I collected scraps after school, chased by dogs for 3 blocks. To avoid harassment from street thugs, I trained my body to become strong. To escape cold stares and mockery, I studied hard, getting into a top national university. I grew up struggling alone, swallowing all grievances myself. I thought I'd forgotten those days, despised for my poverty, but the inferiority from being poor followed me like a shadow. I needed lots and lots of money to fill the hole in my heart. The hardships of my youth played like a film, each needle pricking before my eyes. My nose grew increasingly sore. My eyes began to ache. An indescribable sadness made me cry. But suddenly, the images shrouded in dark clouds were dispelled by a dazzling ray of sunlight. When I was forced to open my eyes, I faced Snow Frost's cold face. She glared at me with resentment. Last night you treated me like that, and just left. I was abandoned all night. I felt wrong too. Wiping my tears, I retorted sharply, I didn't do anything. Do you expect me to take responsibility? As soon as I spoke, I regretted it. Because Snow Frost seemed about to shatter, she stepped back half a step, her face pale. Are you serious? I coldly and ruthlessly said, without material wealth, love is just a pile of loose sand. No one need deadwo steps and it scatters. There's no future for us. Hearing my words, she didn't get angry but smiled. So it's just about money. Don't you know money is the one thing I don't lack? I clutched my face in pain. I know, of course, but that's your money. What's it got to do with me? Through my fingers, I saw her suddenly pull out her phone. After a flurry of rapid taps, my phone received a massive transfer. Note voluntarily gifted to you. She said eagerly, I sent you $1 million in cash. Now can you put your hands down? Let's talk properly. Under the temptation of money, I decided to yield temporarily, lowered my shielding hands and said formally, what do you want to talk about? Ask me to resign. She gave a meaningful smile. Assistant Square. You don't think you've disguised yourself well, do you? I looked at her in shock. You know everything. Her expression confirmed it. As expected, I guessed right. It was you that night. I'd taken the money, so I had some confidence, fearlessly replying, so what? You begged me first. My conscience is clear. She frowned again. What do you mean, begged? That night. Didn't you use your cousin's account to harass me? I sighed in relief, realizing we weren't talking about the same thing. How did you know? It was me messaging you that night. Snow Frost, displeased, said. During this time in the company, you've been sneaky. I thought you were stealing company secrets. Didn't expect to find out my mother sent you a huge sum. She sat on the chair, elegantly crossing her legs, pressuring me. I want to know what deal you made with her. I awkwardly wanted to crawl into a hole, gritted my teeth and told the truth. Actually, I was initially sent to check if you had orientation issues. After finding out you didn't, I just continued the task. She interrupted, stop talking. Book the flight tickets back home. After booking the tickets, I saw her ear redden. She whispered, I don't dislike men. I'm just not interested in others. After a perilous journey, we finally boarded the flight home. On the plane, my mind was a tangled mess, thinking how to explain to Snow Frost's mother. After 3 days of pondering, I half-truthfully reported everything. Snow Frost's mother was very satisfied with the outcome, promised after returning home to transfer the seaside villa to my name. As I secretly sighed in relief, Snowfrost's voice suddenly sounded beside me. These past few days' events, you reported to my mother. I could only nod honestly. Your performance these days has pleased me. President Lucille is also comforted. Aren't you happy? The smile at the corner of her mouth couldn't be suppressed. She half-doubtfully asked, Are you really satisfied? I nodded vigorously, of course. You're stunningly beautiful. How could I not be satisfied? I saw Snowfrost shyly purse her lips, trying to stay calm. Good that you know. I looked at the curve of Snowfrost's mouth, harder to suppress than an AK rifle, confirming once again that girls are easy to coax. So what if she's the elite circle's great lady? I easily had her in my grasp. After landing, Snowfrost kept her promise, transferring $1 billion seaside villa to my name. I calculated my savings, decided to resign and enjoy life, pursuing dreams I couldn't before due to money. The moment I submitted my resignation, I felt my whole being ascend. But fate wasn't so kind. As I planned my new life, I received a court summons. Damn capitalists. In Snowfrost's mother's gift agreement, there were fine print clauses. The house came with a massive loan I had to bear. Now, I not only had to use my previous earnings to cover it, but also owed them $30 million. When I angrily wanted to confront them, someone knocked me out from behind. When I woke up, I was lying on a large soft bed, but my limbs were chained tightly. The next second, someone opened the door. She stood there, her face terrifyingly dark, her gaze like a wild beast. Hey, are you sick? When she stepped out from the shadows, I realized she wasn't Snowfrost. Their noses were similar, but up close the differences were clear. The LUONG absent bullet screen reappeared. What's with this plot twist? Is the daughter trying to pair with the male supporting character? The author's no ordinary person. What kind of trashy plot is this? Male supporting character chained up with the second female lead. This plot is too cliché. Hearing my words, she just kept stripping off her clothes, like she was gravely ill. Snowfrost stole my place. I must sleep with her man. To make it fair, I retorted, there's such a good deal. You're Snowfrost's sister. Looking like that, you dare steal the family fortune your mother worked so hard for. Her eyes filled with rage. So what? The unloved one is the third party. Her mother only knows how to make money. My mother was the woman White Swallow loved most. I couldn't follow her logic, but my strength had recovered a bit. I yanked hard. The flimsy chain snapped. She was stunned by my actions. Immediately sneered. Didn't expect you to be this capable? I hope you're just as capable later. She kept getting closer. I tugged at the chain on my ankle. Finally, at the moment she lunged at me, I kicked her square in the chest. I had plenty of strength. She was knocked flat, unable to get up. I hurriedly threw on clothes, wanting to escape this place. I struggled to reach the door, but it was locked. The lock was too advanced. I didn't know how to open it. The sound of footsteps behind me grew closer, but the damn door wouldn't budge. I never expected. I didn't lose because of strength, but because of poverty. At the critical moment, I could only hide temporarily. Through the crack, I saw her put her clothes back on. After searching the room, she sat on the sofa, picked up her phone, checked the surveillance footage for the last 30 minutes at Jade Dragon Bay Villa. He has left. Hey, still in the house. Less than 10 minutes later, a knock came at the door. My eyesight was sharp. I saw exactly how she unlocked the door. With a ding, the door opened. She was shocked, clutching her chest, glaring fiercely at the person stepping in. Due to my limited view, I only saw a woman in a long white dress, stepping on her face, grinding heavily. Where is he? Little Bamboo Snow. Who gave you the guts to touch him? I heard the familiar voice. It was Snowfrost. While she was still hurling threats, I sneaked out from my hiding spot. I'm here, don't let her off. Seeing I was fine, Snowfrost's expression softened. She fought fiercely. Her punches and kicks were brutal, completely reshaping my view of her. A girl fighting like this in front of me left me dumbfounded. I was so engrossed in the spectacle, I forgot to escape. Until Little Bamboo Snow's men arrived, they stopped the brawl. Or rather, Little Bamboo Snow's one-sided beating. This time it caused a big commotion. Even Snow Frost's mother showed up, but the mother and daughter, so alike, didn't spare Little Bamboo Snow a glance. I was inexplicably taken to a car. The atmosphere in the car was bizarre. I thought of my 30 million debt. Even my gaze toward them was murderous. Perhaps sensing my hostility, Snow Frost's mother gave me a cold look. Don't look at me like that. Blame yourself for not reading carefully before signing. Snow Frost nudged her mother. She changed her tone. Young people should strive, stay in the company for a while, and I guarantee the house and money will still be yours. I looked skeptical. Snow Frost's mother shifted her tone again. Right now, besides trusting me, what other choice do you have? I thought it over. She wasn't wrong. I really had no other path. With such a huge debt, I returned to slaving away at the company, but this time with a deadline. Snow Frost promised I could resign after a year. In the company, Snow Frost and I interacted more awkwardly than before. Though she let me return to work, she barely assigned me any tasks. I didn't understand her intentions. After much thought, instead of internal torment, I'd rather go all out. I cornered her in the office, pulled the blinds down, demanded why she insisted on keeping me at the company. Snow Frost's cheeks flushed red. Her gaze toward me held a rare seriousness. Because I like you. Whoa, so sudden. Seeing her earnest expression, I could only respond seriously. Don't feel guilty about that night. We can't be together. She grabbed my shoulders, looked into my eyes. Why, you're so outstanding. We're a perfect match. Do you hate me? I thought carefully. I didn't hate her. Though she came from privilege, she was quite decent. Fair skin, beautiful features. Aside from her fighting skills, she was at the level of an internet celebrity. I nodded honestly. I don't hate you. Her eyes softened immediately. I once heard a wise man say, not hating is liking. Liking is loving. Loving means you can't live without me. If you can't live without me, why hesitate? This was the first time I heard her say so much in one breath. Her puppy eyes sparkled with light, awaiting my response. My heart felt pierced. Desire overpowering reason. I recklessly wanted to agree. She saw through my concerns. I'll do my utmost to make you stronger. When that day comes, no one will dare say we're not a match. I accepted this love. Through her introductions, I gained more connections and resources. In just one short year, with my own hands, I built my own company, amassing millions in fame and fortune. Sometimes, a turning point in life lies in a small miracle. From that day, my wheel of fate began to turn. I grew wildly like bamboo after rain. Borrowing this momentum, I earned heaps of money. 3 years ago, 30 million felt like the sky was falling. Now it was mere drizzle. Little Bamboo Snow, who caused us trouble repeatedly, was arrested and thrown in jail. I no longer had nightmares. The hole in my heart as my earnings grew seemed to be filled. But waking up startled in the middle of the night, I always felt this love came too hastily, and I had ulterior motives. I wanted to use her power, her career and wealth to stand higher. Perhaps one day her love for me would fade, but money wouldn't. Our feelings grew warmer amid years of love and hate. Even in our most passionate year, just facing each other could spark flames. Friends at banquets began asking her when we'd get married, but she only smiled and changed the topic. I instantly understood that sometimes silence is the best answer. I was, after all, not worthy of her, but I still needed her, and she couldn't leave me. In the 5th year of our relationship, I could stand on my own. Her career shone like the midday sun. We grew more in sync, but both tacitly avoided mentioning marriage. Snow Frost's mother came to me. Unlike her lofty demeanor before, she faced me as an equal. Your career is doing well now. I'm genuinely happy for you. Her smile remained, but her words carried a different weight. But even with your significant achievements, you and Snow Frost are still not a match. Your love games years ago, I turned a blind eye. But to become her husband, sorry, you're not suitable. I looked at Snow Frost's mother. Recalling what Snow Frost told me years ago, I'll do my utmost to make you stronger when that day comes. No one will dare say we're not a match. Until today, I had indeed amassed immeasurable wealth, yet I still couldn't cross this gap. Seeing my silence, Snow Frost's mother added fuel. You think because you've made some money, you've truly crossed class lines and can sit as our equal. She pulled a photo from her Hermes bag, and it was a wheat-skinned young man wearing a graduation gown, smiling brightly. It looked like a graduation photo. I know your education is from a top national university, but Northstar is an Ivy League bachelor, master, and doctorate. The Governor family has 3 generations of renowned figures in politics and business. Only he is worthy of being Snow Frost's husband. It was like a blow to my head, like ginseng doused in cold water, chilled to the bone. The achievements I was proud of for years paled before this perfect resume. A deep sense of failure welled up, but I still held my back straight, pretending to be calm. Are you sure Snow Frost will follow your arrangements? Snow Frost's mother laughed, her smile mocking my naivety. No woman can resist such a husband, even if she chooses you now because she's young. Can you guarantee she won't regret it in 10 years? Seeing me speechless, she continued before I indulged her playful antics. Now at her age, it's time to settle down. You didn't really think I sought you out initially because of your outstanding abilities, did you? I was speechless because every word she said was true. Finally, she called Snow Frost in front of me. Frosty, Northstar is back in the country. This noon have the driver take you to the usual place. Our 2 families must host him. On the other end, Snow Frost's voice sounded okay. I'll have my assistant arrange the time. After hanging up, she looked at me provocatively. If you don't believe me, see for yourself later. With that, she picked up her bag and left, then sent me an address. I sat alone in the restaurant for a long time, until I got another call from Snow Frost. Her voice on the phone was gentle. I have to go with family at noon. I'll pick you up tonight. I replied mechanically, good. See you tonight. Perhaps sensing something off in my tone, she paused, about to say something. I panicked and hung up. The next second, a WeChat message popped up. What's wrong? Who upset you? I'm fine. Focus on your work. I drove around to clear my mind, but couldn't resist going to the meeting. There, I saw Northstar step out surrounded by a crowd. He was even more dashing than in the photo. Snow Frost followed behind him. The moment she saw me, she naturally put her arm around my shoulder. This is my fiance square method. This is Northstar. Northstar, confident and carefree, extended his hand. Hi, I'm Northstar. I was about to shake his hand when I suddenly heard his inner thoughts. System, did you make a mistake? The story's nearing its end, and you sent me to break them up. At the same time, the bullet screen flashed before my eyes. The story's nearing its end. Why is the male lead only now leisurely appearing? Are the male supporting character and female lead breaking up? With such an outstanding male lead, who wouldn't fall for him? The story of the male supporting character and female lead is ending, but his story with the male lead is just beginning. The meal felt bland and tasteless, but my heart was screaming. I was just a brief interlude in Snow Frost's life. The male lead, Northstar, was her true destined one. They build the company together in the future, have children, and stay together until they're gray and old at 90. While I'd break up with Snow Frost this year, leave the country lonely until the end. From that day, Northstar appeared more frequently in my life. He also started his own company. In just a month surpassing the results of my 5 years of effort, Snow Frost and Northstar grew closer, perfectly in sync at work, perfectly matched in family background. Under the matchmaking of both families, I clearly felt Snow Frost's attitude waver. She started mentioning Northstar in front of me. I knew our fleeting love was nearing its end. I waited for the story's turning point. Finally, during a business trip with Snow Frost and Northstar, an incident happened. Snow Frost got pregnant. After learning this, Snow Frost's mother called me. Snow Frost is pregnant. It's time for you to step aside. Otherwise, your little billion-dollar company, our two families can easily crush. My heart was filled with sorrow. Tearfully, I sold my company, booked a flight to leave the country that night. Before boarding, I sent Snow Frost a final message. The years we've had, the days of love and hate with you, I remember them all. This step back is for a lifetime. Your freedom, I give it back to you. Then I tossed my SIM card, boarded the plane alone to a foreign land. The first day there, I couldn't sleep, standing alone by the large glass window, gazing at the city's dazzling nightlife. In the dead of night, a lonely person easily feels sad. I could only open my bank account, look at the cold balance 5 times larger, and stopped feeling sad. The second day, to dispel the loneliness of a foreign land, I called 8 maids to serve me. 2 girls in empty aprons cooked in the kitchen. 1 made Chinese food, 1 made Western food. I lay on the sofa. 3 girls in maid dresses danced lightly. I looked down. A girl knelt on the floor, attentively offering fruit. The remaining 2 maids. 1 massaged me, 1 cleaned. I found it a bit bothersome and frowned slightly. They scrambled to please me. I looked at them each unique and smiled. With enough money, how could I, as the bullet screen predicted, be lonely until the end? By evening, the 8 girls fought over my favor. The first time I saw girls pulling each other's hair, I was truly shocked. Alright, stop fighting. As they brawled fiercely, the door opened and Snow Frost's face was dark as water, like a demon crawling from the depths. Gloomy square method, you're playing quite extravagantly. The 8 girls saw her hostile demeanor, wisely stopped and prepared to slip away. I tried to keep them wait, it'll pay more. Don't go! But under Snow Frost's intimidating gaze and status, they left without hesitation. When only the 2 of us remained, she slowly took off her coat, and doing her dress as she walked. I went on 1 business trip, and you sold the company, and called maids. Do you really think him dead? Seeing her fierce demeanor, a flood of grievances welled up in my eyes. You had a child with someone else. If I didn't leave, wouldn't your 2 families crush me? Could I have stayed? She was utterly confused, her face full of doubt. What are you talking about? How could I be pregnant? I wiped my wet eyes. Your mother told me you're pregnant. If I didn't leave, my little 5 billion company would be crushed by your 2 families in a moment. Hearing my words, her eyes remained sharp. That's why you abandoned me. I nodded. I won't be your 3rd wheel, not even your lover. She seemed amused by me. Why can't it be your child but am not pregnant? She stared at my face, almost grinding her teeth. I was out there negotiating for our future, exhausted to the point of collapse. The moment I finished, I learned you'd gone abroad and called 8 maids. My heart felt squeezed, aching sharply. We stood very close. The sadness and heartbreak in her eyes weren't fake, but I still retorted, don't act so innocent. If over these years, you'd firmly chosen me, how could I have believed your mother? Hearing my words, her eyes filled with tears. So this is my fault. I should have told you sooner I can't live without you. I only wanted to wait until I was strong enough to give you a promise. She grabbed my hand, slapping her own face. The force so strong, her fair cheek turned red. Forgive me, please. Alright, let's make up. I angrily pulled my hand back. Are you sick? I don't do domestic violence. If you want to hit, use your own hand. I rubbed my stinging hand. The anger in my heart had dissipated a bit. Her skin was so fair, crying fiercely, her whole face flushed pink. She hugged me, continuing to cry. Tears fell in large drops onto my neck, truly a river of sorrow flowing backward. I'll give you all my money. Forgive me. In the moment she hugged me, crying, the familiar bullet screen flashed by. Male supporting character, forgive the female lead. I'd trade my roommate's life for you 2 to make up. I exclaimed. 666. The male supporting character exploded, rewriting himself as the male lead. Turns out the female lead had planned this long ago, just to be with him. The male supporting character didn't know. The female lead already knew it was you that night. Even Snow Frost's mother was part of your push. I stared in shock. Was that true? But before I could react, her passionate kiss landed. We sank together into the abyss of desire. In the years of love and hate, she'd been tamed by me to be very obedient, but I was exhausted beyond measure. While she remained radiant as spring, she hugged me tightly. We'll be together forever. Snowfrost's epilogue. The first time I met Square Method was thanks to my cheap little cousin. When he was 8, due to family business conflicts, he was kidnapped. Everyone thought he was dead, but that kid had a big fate and was saved. What's more surprising, the one who saved him was also a boy, tall and lanky with messy hair, looking a bit malnourished. My cousin's parents saw he not only studied well, but was also ambitious, decided to sponsor him. Even my sharp-tinged cousin praised him as different. I decided to go with my cousin to meet him. Unfortunately, that day wasn't ideal. When we went to find him, had already gone to school. Just as we were disappointed and about to leave, my cousin bumped me, signaling me to look ahead. At the street corner, a boy in a black and white uniform, carrying a canvas backpack on one shoulder, holding two large bags of scraps, followed by a tall old lady. The faint clear morning sunlight shone on him. At that moment, he was the light. At my most sensitive age, he carried trash with such swagger, head high, chest out, striding down the street. I felt my heart struck hard, an indescribable electric jolt, but urged by the driver, I hurriedly got in the car. For many years after we didn't meet again, the meeting I thought was our first turned out to be our last for many years. I was arranged by my family to attend a top global school, studying making friends, training step by step. Male supporting character, why aren't you running? When the female lead finds out you're the man from that night, you're done. I thought I'd never see him again in this lifetime. But at my first party after returning to the country, I was maliciously drugged. I fought to fend off the ill-intentioned person. The drug's effects tortured me beyond endurance. At that moment, a boy burst into my room. I thought it was the same person returning, but looking closely, it wasn't the same man. Moreover, his face was unnaturally red, bloodstains on his body, clearly drugged as well. At that moment, a bullet screen suddenly appeared in the air. Is this the first meeting of male supporting character and the female lead? The author, truly worthy of 1,000 cuts, really knows what we want to see. Trembling, I took out my phone, opened my health report, made a request, I'm clean. Can we help each other out? From that night, our fates began to intertwine again. Though the bullet screens in the air always called him Square Method, I would never allow him to be just a supporting character in my life. He would forever be my one and only. No matter the cost, I was willing. Fortunately, after countless hardships, he finally belonged to me. The end.